Recording in progress.
Good morning and welcome to the Needham Board of Assessors for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. My name is John Bullion and I am the chair of the board. In accordance with the open meeting law, at the beginning of the meeting, I must disclose to attendees whether the meeting is being recorded. This meeting is being broadcast via Zoom and is being recorded for publication, later viewing, and administrative purposes. Also, after notifying the chair, any person may make a video or audio recording of the meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium, subject to reasonable requirements of the chair as to the number, placement, and operation of equipment used, so as not to interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Please let me know now so that I can make that announcement as well. You're here as a taxpayer citizen?
Yes,
okay. So there's nobody that's requested to meet, so we'll go to the next item on the agenda is public comment period. And what is your name?
My name is John Washik, and I'm
John Washik.
EV Realty.
John, please go for
John. Come up to the table,
Okay,
please.
thank you.
My name is John Bullion,
Okay.
and this is Mike Diener,
Hi, nice to
and
meet you.
Julie, I think you've met.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And John, welcome. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Yes, the reason why I'm here is, I just wanted to, question and also to, make some comments against my tax bill. I've been a taxpayer in Needham. I grew up in Needham. I've been in Needham since the 1960s. I went to Needham High School. So Needham, my parents been here when they were alive, were here since the 1950s. My aunt who just passed away last August was 95. She lived in Needham 53 years. So I consider myself a long-term, resident and taxpayer. And over the years, I've purchased some investment properties, through the years, and I've been renting them, and I rent them to, I've been renting it, for years. I rented to town employees. I rented to the Needham librarian. I rent them. I try to rent them to local people, because they grew up in Needham or if I know them. So I try to keep the rents reasonable, and that's my objective. I've always tried to be fair with people, and a lot of my tenants are, single people. Most of my people are single. They're single people. They're renting the apartment because they're small apartments. They're not, 2 or 3 bedrooms. So most of them are 1-bedroom apartments. And the small apartments have been renting, like I said, to different people over the years. And I try to keep the rents reasonable. But now these tax increases this past year, some of my taxes went up 40–50% on the properties. And as a landlord, you have to pass it on to the tenant. So now I have to tell my tenant, geez, I gotta raise your rent $50 or $100. It's a lot to a single person that's on one income.
I just want to familiarize them
Okay.
with the properties.
Yep.
147 Maple Street,
Okay.
106 Maple Street,
Yep.
63 Oak.
Yep.
And there was another one,
56 Grand Street,
56 Grand.
and I also rent at 138 Forest Street, which is a small house.
These are the multis.
I have a commercial building, 10 Oak Street, that I also have some.
Okay.
commercial-
Properties in question, though, are 147 Maple.
Pretty much all of them. I
Oh,
file
pretty much.
abatement. I file abatements on all of them.
Okay.
I think except for one.
Okay.
Because I was okay with that one, I think. But and then you denied all of them except for one you gave a significant decrease on, which I found reasonable. That was 10 Oak Street, but that's the commercial property. The 132 Forest Street, I didn't find reasonable. So my intent is, I'm gonna go to the state and abate these with the state. And since you denied them, I've done this before. I used to talk with Chip Davis, who was the former assessor. We had the same type of thing, and we usually work together, we'd look at the properties, and then we make adjustments before we even got to the state level. And sometimes they were reasonable, sometimes they weren't. But anyway, we were able to work it out. This time, they're so expensive, and the rates have gone up so much, 40–50% in 1 year. It's significant. If you had warned me as a landlord, a year or 2 in advance, saying, geez, your taxes are gonna go up 40%, I could have adjusted the leases in advance. So I was hit with this all at once, and all the other landlords in Needham, I'm sure, same thing. You hit with this tax increase all at once, and there's no way I can go to my tenant, I'm gonna raise your rent $500. There's no way, and that's not fair to do that, and I wouldn't do that. So the landlord has to find a way, and and then I started researching into all the abatements, And I researched them all, and as I researched inconsistencies, I found one, like my 56 grand. The building went up 94,000, yet there's been no improvements to the property, there's no permits in the building. So why did the building go up? And then I understood, well, the land costs went up. So if the land costs went up, that's one thing, but why the building too, when there was no improvements? I mean, any lawyer will tell you, how can they justify adjusting that? And then the land values, I based on the square footage. If you look at my neighbors, some of the neighbors on the same street, and I know you adjust the zoning, you're based on the zoning and the street and different areas of town, they have different, rates, I understand that, because it's nicer neighborhoods, so forth. So, but anyway, but on the same street, there's a different, that's per square foot on the land. I just based this on the land, because the land is the value. I mean, as we all know, if the
right,
builder's
right.
gonna, the builder's gonna take, the builder's gonna buy a property, he's buying it for the land, he's gonna tear it down, which they've been doing, as everyone knows. So the land is what's worth the value. So, so if my square footage was $108 a square foot, a neighbor is $82.94 a square foot, a guy across the street's even less. Then I heard, well, there's an adjustment. There's adjustments. I said, what's the adjustment? And I think it was talking about Julie, there's some adjustments in some houses have different adjustments. I said, well, why don't I have an adjustment? And so there's all these hidden things, these adjustments that may have been put in over the years that, people don't know about. So that was just one property. Then I looked at another one where the house is definitely a tear down. I mean, it's an old house, it's 300-400 years old. It's, it's to the point where it's not even worth fixing up. But that property value, the building went up 200,000. I was like, how?
This is yours.
No.
Oh, this is
These are all.
these are all other, okay.
Yeah, so this other one went, other one went up, the value, the building value went up, 100,000, like 100,000 on that. So I was like, there's no way there's any improvements on that. So again, no building permits, there's no improvements. So 100,000 a building went in 1 year. I mean, I was like, how can that happen? And then the land on that increased, 165,000 for the land. Then I heard, well, there's a train adjustment, because the train travels behind it, and it vibrates the building and it vibrates the house. So the two tenants there, their rent, and again, I try to keep the rents reasonable. So how can I go to them and say, well, now I gotta go up $200 on your rent? I mean, and that's a two-family. And that's the other thing too, is, a two-family versus a four-family. I have a four-family. So, and then, so it's a little bit different, because when you have 2 units, you can only get so much rent. So I mean, so I found inconsistencies there. So I can go through, I won't go through all of them, but what I'm getting at is inconsistencies in why the building values went up. Other ones with the land per square foot doesn't match or is in line with other ones on the same street or in the neighborhood. Then I understand, then I have another part, the 4-family, the lot, a builder's not gonna buy it. The lot's so small. I mean, if you tore the house down, you couldn't put a,
How large is the lot?
Almost
What-
Yeah, this is
what's
the
there?
4-family
That's
on
almost
Grand
7,000.
Street, was it?
Almost 7,000. What's the address on that one?
that's 56 grand.
That's good, okay.
Yeah, so if a builder bought the
Okay.
house, I'd have to sell it, if I sold to a builder, first of all, they wouldn't buy it, because the land is not adequate to put another house on. And with the current setbacks and the side backs and the front back, the front setting, requirements, it wouldn't match it, so it's probably considered a, non-conforming lot.
So couldn't they tear it down and rebuild on the same footprint? That they can do.
They could, but.
And they could
Turn it
do
into a 1-family or a 2-family.
one family or
Yeah,
2-family or a 3-family.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could rebuild in
Again,
kind.
on a small lot, it's not a desirable size lot, to put, he would be very minimal, I mean, and the other aspect I see is, you just mentioned tearing it down, selling the building, so is it the town's intent to do away with all these investment properties and change the demographics of the town? I mean, it's changing the demographics already. I mean, I just drove down.
I think the market is driving that.
Yeah,
And, it's, we're just trying to value equitably. Let me ask you a question, just looking at 56 Grant Street, 7,000 square foot lot.
Yeah.
What's the total assessment on that property?
Right now, it's $1,035,500.
Okay, $1,035,000. What do you think the market value of that property is?
Not that, I mean, It's not that, but if, again, if a builder was gonna, I would have to sell to an investor. So the investor would look at it, and they'd look at the rents,
Mm.
and then the rents, like I said, it's forced, the apartments are small there, the one bedroom, so there's only so much rent I can get. And then the other aspect is, you know, if I look at Lincoln Street this past week, okay, there was a two-family there that, the builder had approached me about buying, on Lincoln Street, and they sold to a builder, he put up two townhouses. Further down on the corner of School Street in Lincoln, they tore down another two-family. So that's four apartments. They were low to middle income type apartments, okay, that I would consider low to, I mean, so they're gone. So the people that would be renting those are gone from the town. They can't afford to live there. I mean, the apartments are gone. So as you tear more and more down, you're changing the demographics.
I know, yeah, you're absolutely right,
Yeah.
okay,
So
no
if
question.
That's
But
that's the
the
intent.
problem that we have is that the land is driving the value increases.
Right.
And, you know, that's based upon fair market values of properties that are selling.
Yeah.
And all we try to do here is equitably and fairly and equitably, you know,
Right.
figure out, you know, what your value of your property is, what the value of somebody
Right.
else's. Mike, jump in, good.
Yeah,
You
well,
wanna
no,
say, yeah.
I was just basically gonna say, I mean, our legal requirement is fair market value in
Right.
every property.
Right, I understand.
Nothing's gonna be perfect. Well, because there's no one
Yeah.
number. that
So
you-
now.
And we're
So we
not,
wanna be
and
now-
within-
and the thing.
So now,
Yes.
Yeah.
may I interject for a second? So now, you mentioned fair market value of land, I understand, fair market for the building, so we already went through the discrepancies. Even for the land, per square foot, there's no justified reason why my square foot should be different than the guy 10 feet from my house.
Well,
So
Okay, so that's one,
again, it's mostly on the value of the
The land.
property. No, it's the property value. Like, how much could you get for that property?
well, the
The
building's
land
gonna
and
tear
the
it down.
building is somewhat.
The,
artificial.
the value of the property, building in the land, is only what someone will pay for, which was the builder. A builder just bought, you know.
Well, you mentioned, I mean, you know, you mentioned an investor could buy it. And,
Well, the builder would have to buy it. That one, the one I'm talking about,
Yeah.
he would have to buy it, because the builder won't buy it. The
okay,
builder won't buy that one.
what do you
The
think the
one-
value of the property should be?
I don't wanna know. I'd have to look closer at my other.
Well,
Lincoln Street.
well, on your abatement application on Grant, you know, you have to put down what
Yeah.
your opinion
Well,
of
it's
value
in
is.
there.
What did you say?
It's in there. I put 849,000. Which is probably what the land would be worth.
But there has to be some value to the building if it's habitable by people that
The one
live
on
in there.
Lincoln Street, how much did that go for?
Lincoln Street, I think that was over, I think that, the last one, the first one on Lincoln Street, he bought it for 800 and, I think 870,000, in that range, so in the high eights, I believe. The first one, the second one, I believe, sold for $1 million on the corner, which is a nicer lot, on the corner of Lincoln and School Street. So that's what that sold for. So now that's one aspect. So now I look at my tenants. Okay, so now you say, I have an investment plan, that my existing investment plan are there now, okay? So there's not a single one of those apartments that has a kid in the school system in Needham. And the cost to put a kid in the school system in Needham, okay, for the land value and the building value, okay, if I go up the Country Way and if someone has a $3 to $5 million house on Country Way and they have 2 or 3 kids in the school system,
Generally, they're in private school.
but
About 24% of the kids go to private school in this town.
yeah,
The town has changed, John. You know, we know that, you know this, we know this.
Yeah.
right.
I lament that I have
Well,
for my
I think
years on
the
the Board of
average-
Selectmen, which is that we've created a town that is where it is and continuing to go.
But most of the tax revenue that's generated from the town, from all the properties.
Yeah.
The highest percentage, as you would all know, goes to the school systems, right? So.
Right, no
so-
question.
Yeah, so if you base that, then if you say, you know, where's all my costs go, it's the school system. So
Right.
the people that are utilizing the school system should be paying more of the bulk of those costs, right? In theory, okay. And here, you have investment properties, we have no one in the school system, and they can't even afford to put a kid in the school system, okay? Because they're single apartments. So as an investment property, they're less of a tax burden. So if anything, you should have a tax credit for the remaining investment properties in Needham, you know, as they exist. And then if you encourage me to sell them to a builder and tear them down, I mean, that even varies based on the income. I mean, a builder this year, you know, is paying less than he did last year for a tear down. because the economy's changed, you get a different person in the White House, you have a different economy, and, you know, and versus, and then from 5 years ago, and who knows what it may be next year.
One sec, Julie, you want to jump in?
Just a few things. So when
Okay.
we spoke, what your main issue was, it wasn't the land, it was more the fact of the building cost.
Oh, some of them, but there was other ones where
But-
the land was
right.
inconsistent.
The land is inconsistent,
Yeah.
and you said that I mentioned the adjustments, 56 grant and then 58 grant, which is set back kind of behind 56 grant.
Yeah.
That's going to have an adjustment because it's not as desired, it's set back, it's behind the house. So that's why there is an adjustment there, because we spoke about the different types of adjustments.
Yeah.
That's why we can't look with your comparisons now, you're looking at, well, the neighbor across the street has this and it's this per square footage. It's not the same though, it's not comparable to your property.
But it's
So
on
that's
the
why we
same
wanna-
street.
It's on the same street,
Yeah.
but lot size is different and there are different circumstances.
Well, lot size based on the
So-
square footage based on the land, so we know the lots based in the taxes are based on the.
But square footage, but square footage isn't the only determinant. As you said, you've got a 7,000 square foot lot that builders might be resistant to buying. So a 10,000 square foot lot, even though it might get more dollars per square foot, it isn't going to be equivalent in terms of the land. And I think that's what we're looking at here. We're saying, okay, well, we agree with you, okay, that 10,000 square foot, a greater lot, larger lot, even though per square foot cost is different, it doesn't mean that yours is undervalued. But, okay,
Also,
continue.
the building
yeah.
itself, you were saying how they're, the change in the value of the building. We go based off of Marshall and Swift, as I explained to you before. The cost of wood 10 years ago is not the same as it is now. So we're
Correct.
looking at the cost to replace the home.
Correct.
At least 90% of its value. So that's where those values are coming
Right.
in when it
Well,
comes to the building
I mean,
itself.
take a look at
Well,
your
no,
insurance, and
yeah.
insurance, property insurance, which we all have.
That's another sore spot.
No.
We'll get to that property next.
No, I understand that. No, I'm talking about property insurance.
Yeah.
Where our property insurance rates, as you well know, and
It's
we all know,
tripled.
yeah, it's crazy. Why? Because of what Julie just said.
Right.
Because the cost to replace our properties has gone up so much.
Correct.
All of a sudden, we're paying so much more.
Right.
I can't believe the amount of money I
Right.
pay. And I live in a 3-bedroom ranch.
Mhm.
Okay, it's like, well, probably never replace it, but
Right.
you know, the
Well,
thing
that's,
is,
that's another factor.
Yeah.
So now that these are investment properties, they're on the books, they're all in the books legally in the town of Needham. If it's a 4-family, it's on the books as a 4-family. If it's a 2-family, it's on the books as a 2-family. They're all legally justified, uses of the property. So if they're justified as investment properties, part of the value of the property is the income that it generates. I fill out these forms every year, all the income forms that show the income, show all my expenses and
Yeah.
everything else, okay? As we just discussed, my taxes have, 60% on one of them, the
Yeah.
insurance is tripled, okay, the insurance costs have tripled, okay?
Yeah.
And as you said, the building materials and everything else,
Yeah.
everything's, all the costs to operate the property have increased. So as an investment, so my incomes are actually less, so that's a factor that should be put into.
John, I get that, and let me just respond to what you just said about the rents, and at the beginning of your, if you're sitting,
Yeah.
seated at the table, you talked about who you rent to.
Yep.
And how what your philosophy is,
Yeah.
that's phenomenal, okay? And, however, it's great, I mean, I want you to know that for me, having been here for 40 years, that's great, okay, because it does preserve
Yeah,
people.
well, I just.
However, what our job is, even though I'm telling you personally, it's phenomenal what you're doing. You're making a choice to do that. You're not you're not increasing your rents because you don't want to. You want to maintain stability, tenant stability. You want to maintain a certain type of tenant, which you're very comfortable with, and that's part of your life giving, okay? Giving back because it provides a steady stream of income to you, and you're being a good guy providing that space in Needham for those people at a very fair or below what might be
Right.
considered below market. But the problem is we have to value at fair and equitable. And even if you look at the income approach, fair and equitable has to be, and we deal with this in commercial properties all the time. It doesn't matter that somebody, likes their tenant or whatever, and they lease it to them at $10 a square foot.
Mhm.
If the market is $20 a square foot, it's going to be valued and capped out at $20 a square foot.
That's fine.
In your
Yeah.
case, you're doing a wonderful thing for you as a person for me as an individual, I recognize that and I'm telling you, thank you, okay? As an assessor, our job is to look with blinders on to, decisions that you make like that or that landlords make or owners of property make and say, we have to value this at a fair and equitable way as best we can. We're not looking to say, we're sticking it to you because,
No.
all we're looking to do, John, everything about us, and you don't know us, but I mean, I've been elected here for years. Yeah, I was on the board of selectmen for 18 years.
I'm aware of that.
Always about what's the right thing to do, okay?
Mhm.
And be fair and equitable to everybody.
Mhm.
Always, that's always the way, because when somebody's taxes are inaccurately or inequitably, figured,
Mhm.
then somebody else is paying more.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the pie that represents Prop 2.5, as you full well know, and the pie grows at 2.5 plus new growth. But our sole job, is to take that pie and carve up all the pieces of the pie as fairly and equitably as we can, and that's what we try to do. Like I said, I'll say it again. It's wonderful what you do and who you rent to and how you do that.
Mhm.
But you could increase, and the past 4 years prior to the revaluation year, values weren't increased in the town as much as they should have. We all know that. And so we get clipped because we've got an outside vendor that comes in, directed by the state, to do a full revaluation of all the property, as they do every 5 years for every city and town of the Commonwealth.
Mhm.
And now we are looking at this, and what it's done is it's created a dynamic where lots of properties that, were you undervalued the year before, and the year before, and the year before? Yeah. Okay, and but we never get calls from people saying, I'm not,
Yeah.
my property isn't valued properly, it should be higher.
No, I wouldn't consider my property undervalued in the previous years because your tax rates are different. I've looked at the tax rates.
Yeah.
Your current residential tax rate is $10.60 per thousand.
Right.
Residential, but the commercial rate is $20.91. I looked at Wellesley, they have one tax rate, which is $10.28. So they're less in Wellesley, and I have a commercial property where you went up, I think it was 100% on the commercial property, some ridiculous number on the commercial property. Okay, so I mean, the town of Needham, I mean, they need to rethink what they're doing, that's my advice.
The split rate.
The split rate.
We talked about that every year, and when we had the classification hearing, when I was on the board, and we just, if you're trying to drive people out of town, the quickest way we can do that is to go back to a flat, a single rate,
Yeah.
and leave the commercial rate. I get it, I'm a small business owner, and I understand, because I pay where I am, I pay a commercial rate. I get it, there's not a good answer other than we want to make sure that every single one of your properties is fairly and equitably,
That's what I mean.
and that's all you want.
That's all I
okay?
want, that's all I
Right.
want, and I mean, some of them aren't too bad, but there's other ones that are completely, then I have there's all different situations with
Yeah.
each one.
You have a lot of
I have another-
properties, I know.
I have another property, the single family house, it's all conservation land behind it, it's wetlands. And I'm actually doing a benefit to the town, because the town, all the sewer water, it's on Forest Street, it's the worst, it's on the sewer department's list of one of the worst,
You septic, right?
No,
No, it's on sewer.
it's town
Okay.
sewer.
Down
But
sewer, okay.
I mean, the drain, the town,
Okay. Yeah, Brookside is
stormwater,
septic.
I'm
Okay.
talking about stormwater.
Okay, oh, okay.
So all
Okay.
the stormwater, it floods the street, okay,
Yeah.
it's been doing it for years.
Yeah.
It flooded my neighbor's house the last storm, anyway.
Yeah.
So the bottom line is, all the land behind it is conservation, it's wetlands, and the town has a sewer pipe that goes across my own property, and they have an easement there. And they run the sewer pipe across my property to dump the water into that wetland area. Okay, so I'm helping the town, and otherwise, where are they gonna dump their water? And that was done back in the 1960s.
Is there an easement,
Adjustment that you were.
An adjustment for
Adjustment, yeah.
conservation, yes, however, that's not one of the properties, the abatement stuff's gonna be taken care of.
okay, so that's already, so, okay, so
Yeah,
you,
we have a lot of properties. There are properties around town where
So,
they have
but-
sewer lines or where they have.
Well, I'm getting to that next. I'm getting to that next. So the first property, it has conservation land behind it. There's no easement, okay? And most of the taxes are based on taxing me on the conservation land, which I can't build on. Builder's gonna come in there tomorrow and give me an offer, say, I can't build on that. So the lot's only this size, the current house is on a small plot. And so why am I being taxed full tax rate on land that I can't
Well,
build on?
that's Forest Street?
Forestry.
Okay, and that's not on this
That's-
list.
It's on the list. It's one of them, yeah.
So it's one of the properties that you have, but we're gonna take care of that moving forward. So I already, that one's.
Well, there's two forestry properties. There's my neighbor's house, which I own, I bought during COVID.
Right.
And that's all conservation, you tax me in conservation land. My own property on Forest Street, that's where the easement is. And that one you put an adjustment on, and I'm gonna go to the state on that, because the adjustment you give me is not enough. I already talked to my attorney on that, because that easement was put there in the 1960s when the land was worth nothing. He goes, the town was allowed to put their sewer easement on it. Now that the land's so valuable, I can't build on that easement. So if a builder came in, if I want to put an addition on to my own house, I can't do it.
How large is that lot?
That's a small one too. That's very small.
Under 10?
I think it's about 10, I think if I look at it, yeah.
So Julie, have you gone over with John all of these properties?
Yes.
No, well, we didn't go in all depth. We went through.
Not in depth on your
Yeah,
personal property,
Yeah.
but we did,
Yeah.
on the properties that were filed on, we did speak on.
Yeah, I did.
You know what I'd
And-
say is this, is we have, I mean, happy to have you here and to be,
Yeah.
meeting you and talking with you. I think what we should do, because I know that there's a lot of stuff that you
Yeah.
have and you have a lot of properties.
And there were different issues.
Yeah, I think that it would probably be a good idea for one of us to meet with you and Julie.
I asked,
Okay.
so I asked, when the
Yeah.
tax bills came out, I put an inviting, I asked to meet with the selectmen. I mean, I asked to meet with the assessors.
Yep,
No one responded. Julie wasn't on board yet.
okay,
Okay, so the previous assessor was on leave or whatever, but I had requested at that time to meet the assessors. No one got in touch with me. You didn't, no one else did.
I don't think we knew.
Yeah, so I asked to meet with you to go over, because that's
Okay.
what Chip was.
Well, let's plan to do that, okay?
So-
And let's do that,
and-
we'll do
and
that
yeah.
this,
And-
well,
yeah.
this month, we'll do it in August, okay? And I'll leave it to Julie to set up a time with you and me or Mike,
On the
whatever.
ones that you found.
On the ones that you filed for abatements on, those are the ones that we wanna look at specifically. Have no problem with you, and as you've done before, filing with ATB. Let's see if we can understand more face to face.
Yeah.
What the issues are on a per property basis.
Yeah.
And let's figure this out, okay?
Yeah.
And if we can't,
That's all.
and if we can't, you go to ATB and let them adjudicate it.
Yeah.
And if we can, let's see what we can do,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
So let's plot that out. That sound good to you?
That sounds great.
Okay, and now understand, Julie, you're gonna be gone like a week or.
Yeah, so
and-
from the 14th to the 20th, so it'll probably be towards the end of August.
Okay, and we know that, ATB is scheduling out many months in advance.
Well, I
Yeah.
have to, was it 90 days or 30?
Yeah,
days?
you need, you can file to preserve, but my understanding is that they're running 6 or more months ahead on.
If
on
you wanted
filings.
to still reserve a date, you could, and it's an easy withdrawal process if we come to an agreement or whatever the case is. However, if you'd like to save the date, you could still file it.
Well, you've already denied me most of mine, so you already denied so I was getting ready tonight or tomorrow, this week to start filing with the state. But I have a certain period of time to wait for the state, which I think, I'm trying to look back at my notes, is that 30 days or is
It's
it
90 days.
It's 90 days, and I know there's a cost to you to file, so.
$100. It's
Oh, okay, so, yeah, that's fine, so.
I'm okay spending it.
However you want to do it, but, so we're sitting here saying, we will meet with you, okay? In a detailed
Yeah,
meeting,
okay.
and,
Why don't we do that before I file it? I know, there's no sense me filing if we're gonna,
right,
if we can resolve
Yeah.
whatever some of the issues may be or whatever.
Right. okay, good, let's,
So Dawn, do you wanna probably not.
Yeah, whatever, sometime.
do you want to look at your calendar now? I'm fine with that.
I was gonna say to her now, but this is being recorded, so I'd rather not get your
Okay,
phone
let's,
number.
okay, that's
Here,
fine,
how about
Let's-
this? Write down your phone number here and I'll give you a call
Yeah,
afterwards
okay, yeah.
with
Well,
some dates that work.
do we have anybody online?
We have one person on.
Okay, then I will ask them.
If they had commented.
Right.
Yeah, and-
Still in public
yeah, and-
comment.
And one last.
Oh,
We're on live Zoom.
Yeah, sure.
He's the reporter.
And one last comment I'd like to,
Okay.
and one last comment I'd like to just comment on is the commercial, I have the commercial property.
Yeah.
And like I said, do people realize that by doubling the tax, for example, there's one taxpayer who I'm familiar with, I knew him from the 1960s, Mr. Graymont. He lives in New Hampshire now, he's retired, he's an older man, retired now. But he owns the property downtown in Needham, the Needham Center, one of the nicest blocks where Chromasonic TV is
Yeah.
there, right?
Yeah.
So I was researching my tax revenues, you doubled his taxes. So, and everyone most of your landlords that have commercial properties in it, you said you're a property owner, a commercial business person.
Yeah.
So most of your business people, they have triple net leases. So when you have a triple net lease, like Mr. Graymont probably has for his tenants, he's allowed legally to pass on those costs, the operating costs, taxes, any increases. As a triple net lease, you pass them on to the tenants. So Mr. Chromasonic TV down there, the poor guy's trying to stay in business, competing with BJ's, Costco, and Best Buy, and all these other TV places, trying to keep his business afloat. Now Mr. Graymont has to go and increase his taxes, increase his rent because his taxes doubled. Then I looked at another commercial property in the center of town, where the movie center was. They're paying half what Mr. Graymont is, and they've got an even better block. I'm saying to myself, geez, why is he paying half what Mr. Graymont is? Then my taxes have doubled on my commercial, my little dinky building on Oak Street, and I can't give triple net leases because it's only single offices, and no one will rent for me with a triple net lease. Any tenant that I rent to, if I come in and I show the property, say, well, it's just a flat rate. I'm lucky if I get the tenant to stay there, because no one wants to do business in Needham anymore. I got tenants moving out. They're leaving Needham. Say, I'm going over to Newton. And then I've had tenants leave. I have vacancies. And that's the other thing, is the commercial properties, the valuation and the taxes are based on the occupancy. If I, my building next to me, he had no tenants for years. So his taxes were like half what I was paying. But I said, okay, well, I get tenants, I'm getting income, I'm filling out my income forms, so I should pay taxes. So that whole thing needs to be thought about. And like I said, triple net leases, you're killing the business in Needham. That's why you have empty storefronts. I drive down Wellesley, the place is thriving because of their single tax rate. You go down Wellesley Center, every storefront's full. And people are going there to shop. Here in Needham, the vice bonds got papers on the windows now, they're closed up. I mean, you're killing the business. And then people come to Needham or want to live in Needham because, like anyone else, you like the downtown area. You go to Brookline because you like the Brookline downtown area or Wellesley. So you're driving people out. And my tenants are going. I have tenants leaving. I said tenants leaving. We're leaving. I just rented an apartment yesterday. I had to increase the rent. The rent went up $300 than what I would have charged last week. And I'm renting it to a Needham resident. She sold the house, an elderly person, she wanted someplace to live, she went down to Charles River Landing. Couldn't afford Charles River Landing, it's too expensive, I don't like it there. She's renting from me now,
It's expensive.
yeah, it's expensive, so she's
Okay.
renting from me.
I'm gonna call it a day here, okay? And we'll be looking forward to meeting with you.
Okay.
And thank you for coming in.
Well, I appreciate you listening to my feedback. I mean,
Well, this is the first time,
I literally said, I grew up I was a kid in the 1960s. Needham Center was thriving. It was a thriving town back then. All the storefronts were full. It was a nice town.
Yeah.
It still is a nice town. Still considered a nice town. But if you keep going the way it's going,
Yeah.
and the sewer and water rates, that's another thing you should be looking at. Okay, and then the electric. I have a property in Norwood I rent. They have no electric company.
John, we're gonna cut it off. Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming in.
All right.
Yeah, good.
Thank
You'll
you.
hear from me,
Okay,
probably tomorrow or Monday, okay?
okay, appreciate it.
John.
I appreciate your time.
No, thank you so
I really
much
do.
for coming in.
Yeah.
Appreciate your
Thank you.
information.
Thank you.
Okay, have a great day.
Thanks.
So who's online? Peter.
O'Neill.
Okay.
Or we can see if he has a public comment.
Peter, do you have any comments? We're still in public comment period.
Can't see that.
Okay, I don't know if you want to raise
Sure,
your
thank you.
hand if you do.
I unmuted him.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, let's approve minutes of prior meetings. Do we have minutes of prior meetings? I know.
There were
we've
3 of
got-
them that were sent out. I
Okay,
looked
what
at-
dates were
They were
those?
okay with me.
Okay.
Do you remember what the dates were?
Yeah.
No, I wasn't here when you.
I don't have that.
Oh, okay, wait a second.
We
Hold
said
on.
the 11th was
It was on the
one.
email, but I can't access that account on my phone.
Hold
One
on.
was,
I can do it.
yeah.
Yeah, bear with me. Bear with me.
August 11th was one. Sorry, I can't.
That
Items I
August
think from
11th.
last November.
Hold on. Dave's email. There it is, minutes. We've got traffic, July 17th. Okay. That's the only one I've got.
No, there were
Let me
three.
see if it's, were there three? Hold on, let me see if it's embedded here.
The email was, yeah, the last week.
Yeah, I've got the email from July 23rd, which was a week ago. So this board
That's probably-
attached to the draft of the open session meeting for July 17th. Okay, that's what I've got.
Thought there were three.
Um,
Unless I'm thinking of a different email.
I'm not showing any other minutes.
I can't get access from it.
Okay, so therefore, the only minutes that we can entertain at this moment, because the only ones I can find are July 17th. So have a motion to accept the minutes of July 17th.
So,
Second.
Aye.
Aye,
yes, I know I looked over this.
okay. And then I would look for a motion to go into executive session to comply with the provisions of any general or special law, specifically to discuss real estate and personal property exemption and or abatement applications which are not open to public inspection, or to comply with the provisions of any general or special law, specifically to discuss returns of property held for charitable purposes which are not open to public inspection, or to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the government's litigating position.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're in executive session. Actually, a moment. There it goes. Okay, we're back from executive session and I'm gonna ask Julie to announce the results of the votes that were taken on abatement applications.
152 Second Ave, denied. 378 Hillside, granted. 95 Hampton Ave, denied. 45 Kearney Road, denied. 900 Greendale, Unit 13, denied. 345 Cartwright Road, which is a revised application, granted. And 300 First Ave, which will be set aside for our next meeting.
I think it's
Thank
unit 15, right? On that.
Unit 15?
Greendale.
Greendale is unit.
It's unit 15.
Unit 15.
I apologize, correction, 900 Greendale, Unit 15, denied.
Thank you. Next meeting, we're setting for August 28th. So that's in 4 weeks.
Okay.
At 9:30. August 28th at 9:30. And good, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Aye. Good.
Sure.
Okay.